Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurapanicharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vashyatari Satarine Namaste Saraswati Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Prasattam Srishmat A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhaktamracharya ISKCON ki jai. Srila Prabhupada's Guru Puja ki jai. And Mr. Prasattam Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Haridas Thakur Namacharya ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Prem Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati Gaur Bhakta-vrinda ki jai. Sri Sri Radhakrishna Gopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Mayapur Navadvip Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Rani Ganga Yamuna Mai ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Lalita Devi Shakta Devi ki jai. Sri Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai. Sri Gaunitai ki jai. Pati Tulsi Devi ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta-vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
So I'd like to thank Manohar Prabhu very much for asking us to give class today. I'm sending very deep prayers and well wishes that His Holiness Satchidananda Maharaj feels really strong very soon. He was meant to give this class, so I apologize that you got me. But let's see if we can together really do service to this such wonderful verse, second verse of the Shikshastakam prayers that we chant every day in the morning, especially because we are here for the Kirtan course, and His Holiness Satchidananda Maharaj is giving us classes regularly on the theology of the Holy Name, and of course he's been chanting with us in these few days, and he does that all the time, all over the world. So with your blessings, we'll start with Jaya Radha Madhava. Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari.
Jaya
Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare.
So, this morning we are reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila, and 2016. Thank you. So you can see this is teamwork. My husband is here, Punrik Das, Adhikari, and my team, our Kirtan family are here, Ashrud and Jagannath, Priya and Poliana and Dee and Tiger. And I feel really supported that they're here and sending me lots of positive energy to be able to do justice this morning. So thank you very much, everybody, and thank you everyone for your ears and for your time. With your blessings, we'll chant this verse. Nam namakari bahuda nija sarva shaktis tatrarpita niyamita smaranena kalaha etadrushi tava kripa bhagavan mamapi Durdaivametrisham iha janinanuragaha Nam namakari bahuda nija sarva shaktis Tatrarpita niyamita smaranena kalaha Etadrushi tava krupa bhagavan mamapi Durdaivametrisham iha janinanuraga Nam namakari bahuda nija sarva shaktis Tatrarpita niyamita smaranena kalaha Etadrushi tava krupa bhagavan mamapi Durdaivametrisham iha janinanuragaha
Nam namakari bahuda nija sarva shaktis
Nam namakari bahuda nija sarva shaktis
Tatrapita niyamita smaranena kalaha
Tatrarpita niyamita smaranena kalaha
Etadrushi tava krupa bhagavan mamapi
Etadrushi tava krupa bhagavan mamapi
Durdaivametrisham iha janinanuraga
Durdaivametrisham iha janinanuragaha
Nam Namakari Bahudani Ja Sarva Shakti.
Nam Namakari Bahudani Ja Sarva Shakti. Tatra Pitani Amita Smaranena Kala. Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi. Durdaiva Mitrishami Hajanina Nuraga.
Nam Namakari Bhagavani Ja Sarva Shakti.
Nam Namakari Bahulani Ja Sarva Shakti.
Sapitani Amita Smaranena Kala.
Tatra Pitani Amita Smaranena Kala.
Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi.
Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi. Durdaiva Midrishami Hajanina Nuraga.
Nam Namakari Bahudani Ja Sarva Shakti.
Nam Namakari Bahudani Ja Sarva Shakti.
Sapitani Amita Smaranena Kala.
Tatra Pitani Amita Smaranena Kalaha. Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi. Durdaiva Mitrishami Hajanina Nuraga. Someone from our course? Mataji?
Nam Namakari Bahudani Ja Sarva Shakti.
Nam Namakari Bahudani Ja Sarva Shakti.
Sapitani Amita Smaranena Kala.
Tatra Pitani Amita Smaranena Kala.
Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi.
Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi.
Daivani Dishami Hajanina Nuraga.
Durdaiva Mitrishami Hajanina Nuraga. Beautiful. So nice singing. Nam Nam of the holy names of the Lord.
Nam Nam of the holy names of the Lord.
Akari, manifested.
Akari, manifested.
Bahudha, various kinds.
Bhakta, various kinds.
Nija Sarva Shakti, all kinds of personal potencies.
All kinds of personal potencies.
Tatra,
Tatra,
in that.
in that.
Arpita,
Arpita,
bestowed.
bestowed.
Niyamitaha,
Niyamitaha,
restricted.
restricted.
Smarane,
Smarane,
in remembering.
in remembering.
Na, not.
Na, no.
Kalaha,
Kalaha,
consideration of time.
consideration of time.
Etadrushi,
Etadrushi,
so much.
so much.
Tava,
Tava,
your.
your.
Kripa,
Kripa,
mercy.
mercy.
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan,
O Lord.
O Lord.
Mama,
Mama,
my.
my.
Api,
Api,
although.
although.
Durdaivam,
Durdaivam,
misfortune.
misfortune.
Idrisham,
Idrisham,
such.
such.
Iha,
Iha,
in this,
in this.
the holy name.
The
Holy name.
Ajani
Ajani,
was born.
was born.
Na, not.
Not.
Anugraha,
Anugraha,
attachment.
attachment.
Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. My Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, in your holy name there is all good fortune for the living entity, and therefore you have many names, such as Krishna and Govinda, by which you expand yourself. You have invested all your potencies in those names, and there are no hard and fast rules for remembering them. My dear Lord, although you bestow such mercy upon the fallen conditioned souls by liberally teaching your holy names, I am so unfortunate that I commit offenses while chanting the holy name, and therefore I do not achieve attachment for chanting. Please repeat after me. My Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, in your holy name, there is all good fortune, for the living entity. And therefore, you have many names, such as Krishna and Govinda, by which you expand yourself. You have invested all your potencies in those names. And there are no hard and fast rules for remembering them. My dear Lord, although you bestow such mercy upon the fallen, conditioned souls, by liberally teaching your holy names, I am so unfortunate that I commit offenses while chanting the holy name, and therefore I do not achieve attachment for chanting. There's no purport to this verse, so we'll chant the prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vashadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, all of you, for being here and allowing opportunity, Manohar Prabhu particularly this morning, for asking us and giving us this opportunity, this beautiful temple of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. We came here about 30 years ago first with our children, 3 little boys and a little camper van. And from that time, now the Lord is pulling us. It's a really important time in our lives. We are both now in the process of winding up our occupational duties. Our children are grown up, and our occupational duties are releasing us by the grace of our spiritual master. He said, get out. So we had to get out of what we were doing for the last 30 or 40 years, maybe 50 years. Yesterday, His Holiness Satyananda Maharaj was saying that he nearly has 50 years of service in Krishna consciousness. In 3 years' time, he will be celebrating half a century of service in Krishna consciousness. And in our 50s, we are winding up the service on the front line of our careers as physicians. And now, by the process of Krishna consciousness, which is so valid and alive, that we can take the path that opens naturally into Vanaprastha, because after the first 25 years of our life as students and brahmacharis and brahmacharinis, then we entered the household ashram. Pundrik Prabhu and myself have been married for, it will be 37 years in October. And then, you know, time moves on, and the third phase of our it is such a wonderful and a tranquil and a welcoming place. And the devotees, and especially our Kirtan group, are so supportive. And we are learning to sing and to dance and to now come to every morning we are chanting. Because, out in the bushes and in the front end, we often feel very lonely and isolated from devotee association and mothers who bless us each morning, because we are on our own. And one of the anxieties our group has, and we've discussed this, particularly Astrud is very sensitive to this, is that when we go, what will we have? Well, again, we will be in the world outside, and we may be on our own, or we may be just one or two devotees, but we always have the holy name. In this class today, when we were chanting the verses, then Manohar Prabhu had already announced that Sajjananand Maharaj, due to his health reasons, then the class was cancelled, and we were reading the Shikshashtakam, and when we were reading Nam Namakari Bahudanija Sarva Shaktish, then I was thinking how beautiful it would be to understand this verse in more detail. And lo and behold, very shortly after that, he asked and said, "Would you please ask your husband to give class today?" And I said to him, "Yes, I'll definitely ask my husband to give class. And what shall I do if he says to me, 'You give class'?" And so exactly that happened. So Prabhuji said, yes, of course you can. So here we are, this verse is so beautiful. And if we look at the words and the translations, then they can reveal the deeper meanings of the ocean. It's oceanic. When we stand in front of the ocean, then we cannot fail to be awestruck, because the ocean is so vast. We may be on the shore with just the gentle waves, and we see the sand, and we feel the warmth of the sun, or it may be a very different day, that the wind is blowing and the waves are huge and it's cold, and we don't feel like going into the ocean. In fact, we're afraid to go into the ocean because it's powerful. And we see the tsunami that occurred and the destructive powers the ocean has. But also how today we are destroying our oceans with so much plastic in the ocean, and that it's even getting to the fish down below, in the depths of the ocean. So it's so deep, the ocean is so deep. And then our acharyas say that they swim very deep, and they're like sharks in the depth of the ocean. So they're protected, they're away from the goings on the surface of the ocean. And they're totally undisturbed, because all the rivers of the hundreds and millions of thoughts that occur in our mind and the disturbances do not disturb them, because they're not in the shallow waters where the waters are coming, where the river, all the rivers, the estuaries come and wash into the ocean. And we have in our Krishna conscious clear clarity that Srila Prabhupada gives us, that there is no mixture of all the Mayavadi and Nirvishesh Shunyavadi rivers of thoughts that come to us from the world we live in, the worldliness, and those who have distorted the understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So our acharyas clarify this for us in Srila Prabhupada's books when I started to read, because I grew up in a Hindu family, and we were speaking that generations of my family have never eaten meat, have never taken alcohol. They observe the regulative principle of no illicit sex naturally. they don't take intoxicants. So, but that's not enough, because until I started reading Srila Prabhupada's books, I couldn't understand really what the purpose of all those regulated principles is. And Srila Prabhupada explained so clearly, and by the mercy of our Guru Maharaj, whom we met when we were just newly qualified doctors, very early on. We just come out of university and we both trained together in Nottingham. And he said, "Oh, I'm very happy to meet you." And he shook our hands and he said, "Oh, you're doctors of the body." And he pronounced his first instruction. I didn't know at the time that it was an instruction. I would only really understand it now after so many years. But he gave us the instruction. He said in the second sentence, "Oh, you're doctors of the body." And he said, "Now become doctors of the soul." And you know, the words that come out of the mouth of the spiritual master, we say Guru Mukha Padma Vakya. So Guru Mukha, the lotus face of the spiritual master, Padma Vakya. So Vakya means the speech, Vacha. And that comes out, it actually also comes out with the blessing and power for that to come true. Now we are still waiting for it to come true because our understanding of the soul is growing. And by your blessings it will grow even more. And the blessings of this verse particularly, that we start to understand, who am I? Because I'm not this body. That's why he was saying that grow beyond the doctoring of the body. Who am I? So who is me? And Tiger Prabhu, we've been having some discussions also. He's actually a liberal Catholic minister from England. And you know, what kind of thoughts don't occur to us? We really want to understand, who am I? Where do I come from? And where am I going? Where do I want to go? What's the promise? And all that is a very happy affair. We understood by the grace of our spiritual master and all of you devotees. And it was such an important thing for us because as doctors, daily we are seeing birth. Punjari Prabhu also spent time being an obstetrician. And we were delivering babies at home because mothers didn't want to go to hospital to have their babies. And we were very fortunate because 2 of our sons, after the first one, also born at home, in our own home. Because there's a spiritual atmosphere there. So birth, but birth is not easy. And repeated birth, how many of us want to be born again? So it's a painful process for the mother, and after my 3rd delivery I was actually crawling like a dog for 3 weeks because I had what's called shoulder dystocia, so the baby's bones across his upper chest were so big that they couldn't come out of my small Indian pelvis. So I had help. And the babies grew up by Krishna's grace. His name is Govinda, and here in this verse also Krishna's names are, we are reading his names is Krishna and Govinda. So Govinda grew up, and at 16 he was playing rugby for the English rugby team, under 16 team, and they were absolutely completely baffled because he's a vegetarian boy and he is strong and he can play rugby for England. So these different things that happen to us actually bring us closer to Krishna, because we start to understand what's happening by his names, what's happening by chanting his names every day. Because we don't really understand these names, and how is it that the Lord is present in these names and his potencies are present in these names, and how are these things happening? And the other rugby team and the young boys and the girls and the parents, when they asked, how is it that this boy is so strong and he's playing, and he's only vegetarian? Because with them he would eat like a jacket potato, that's all they had. That's all they made. And he still wouldn't eat the other things that they thought they were getting strong on. And I had the same problems, because when I was expecting the children, they would want me to eat other things, because otherwise my children are going to be weak. Jai Shri Shri Ram Gopi. So the faith that we need, because Satyananda Maharaj has been talking so much about faith. How can we have faith that these names, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, 16 names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In these names, here it's explained that the Lord expands Himself through these names. So this word expand is really incredible. Because when we sing as our group in our practice, and then one person sat in the middle and the supportive members of our group were sitting around, and they were chanting in the middle, one person, and we were chanting around that person. And it was experienced by the person in the middle that those chanting around actually strengthened them. Isn't it? And when we chant in Sankirtan, and we chant japa, and we chant together here in the temple room, well then we take our solace and we chant with the holy name ourselves, taking walks outside or in the forest or sitting in a quiet place. Then we are with the holy name. And we chant with everyone, and everyone is also with us. So that's Sankirtan and japa, we were talking also. So we are never alone. And Krishna has expanded Himself, here is saying, and He has invested all His potencies in His names. Krishna can do that. He can do anything. There's a really nice story where the faith is tested. And Narad Muni is telling this story. I believe it is Narad Muni, please correct me if I'm wrong. And he's saying that he's coming and different people are talking to him. And one set says, oh, you've just come back and you've been with Lord Krishna. Oh, yes, yes. Oh, what was the Lord doing? And he says that the Lord was threading an elephant through the eye of the needle. And these people are thinking, I don't know if any of you noticed it, probably not, but I just started to notice that I can't thread the needle anymore. My mother used to ask, well, hey, mother, you know. And in medicine, it's called presbyacusis. So when we get older, our eyeball gets less flexible. It's not as young and agile. And it gets hardened, like our arteries can harden up, you know, they call it atherosclerosis. It's not a nice word. But when things harden up, then the focusing is less responsive. So I have to kind of, and Satyananda Maharaj was teaching us how to focus, you know, you really bring the concentration. And then you may be able to thread the needle. But here, the Lord is threading not just an ordinary thread in an ordinary needle. He's threading an elephant through the eye of the needle. Now, can you believe that? So these folk are thinking Narad Muni is just making his usual jokes, and their faith is such that they just carry on to other things. They're kind of And then Narad Muni goes to a cobbler, and the cobbler is sitting there squatting, you know, like cobblers do in India, and even dentists used to do it. I believe they used to squat and they look in the mouth and fix your teeth. one of our sons, the eldest one, is actually a dentist, and the other day I chewed a cherry stone and broke one of my tooth here, so I was thinking, the dentist is coming now, see, dantasya. But the elephant has, huge tusks, and those are being threaded through the needle as well. And so the cobbler is sitting there and he's doing his shoes, and Narad Muni says, cobbler says, oh, Naradji, wonderful, welcome, come. And he's singing, Narad Muni is always singing on his veena, Narada Muni bajaya veena, Radhika Ramana name. And the cobbler says, he's so respectful and so prayerful, and he says, please, you must have come from the Lord, because Narad Muni is in contact with Lord Krishna. And such a little boy, and he got the blessings of the Mahaprasadam of the sages, didn't he? So he says, yes, I've come from the Lord. What was the Lord doing? And he says he was threading an elephant through the eye of the needle. The cobbler says, oh, really? Oh, my Lord is so great. He can do anything. And Narad Muni says, how is it that you have so much faith? Ordinary cobbler, you're sitting here with a little bit of leather, a dead skin of an animal. He's touching what we would consider not clean, not auspicious. And then he's sitting there and, he's so pure, he has so much faith. And he said, he's sitting under this huge tree. Have any of you seen the banyan tree? Isn't it? Krishna says, of trees, I'm the banyan. And this tree is huge, it's vast. You don't know where the original trunk is, because the branches come down and they make roots, and it gives shelter to hundreds of people in the Indian summer heat, because the tree is so vast, it's like a forest itself. And the cobbler says, this tree, the seed of the tree is very small. And he says, if Krishna can put this vast tree, and it's bigger than an elephant, the banyan tree is bigger than an elephant. Many elephants, hordes of elephants could shade under the tree. So he says, if the Lord can put this tree in a tiny little seed, why can't he thread an elephant through the eye of the needle? So, Krishna's potencies are put into the holy names, because the Lord can expand. The holy name is so great, like the Satyendra Maharaj has written a book, the ocean, the Nectarian ocean of the holy name. So when we stand in front of the ocean, and I'm so scared because I'm not really a good swimmer, so I wasn't allowed to learn swimming, because we had to cover ourselves, so no swimming costume. So I only learned to swim when my boys were learning to swim in England, because the belief there is everybody has to be able to swim, so we don't drown. So we don't want to drown in the nations of Maya. We don't want to drown in birth, disease, old age, death, birth, disease, aging, death, birth, disease, aging. In the circle, repeated cycle, we don't want to do that. So we want to grasp this knowledge, this, we sing in the Srila Prabhupada's Guru Puja, Divya Gyan. Divya Gyana Rite Prakashito Prema Bhakti Jaha Hoite Avidya Vinasha Jate. So avidya, which is this nescience, which is ignorance, nasha means it runs away. How does it run away? Because the shelter of this disciplic succession, which comes to the lotus feet of Guru, this Divya Gyana, Rite Prakashita. Yesterday Satyendra Maharaj was talking about the heart space. Rite Prakashita. So he said, in our hearts, Prakashita means it illuminates. Like when the sun rises, there is absolutely no way that there can be darkness. So Krishna Surya Sama, Maya hai andhakar, jahan Krishna tahan nahi mayera adhikar. So where Krishna Surya Sama, so Krishna is like Surya. So where there is sunlight, where there is day, there is no scope for dark night. There is no scope for ignorance. Where there is this transcendental knowledge, Divya Gyan, then avidya is destroyed. And further on, in the Shikshashtakam prayers, if we read on, what is the time, please? 8:30. In the Shikshashtakam prayers, where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is reciting these prayers in the Antya Lila, later on, after this verse, comes very beautiful another verse, if I can find it. Where he is saying, there's a very beautiful word used. Do you have these moments when you want to find something and you can't find it?
You want to find the verse? There are 3 verses, 4 verses after. 18, 19, 20. 21 is another distribution.
Yeah, no, it's further on, Prabhu. It's a very powerful potency of the Lord, and maybe I'll find this later on today and I'll bring it for you. If I find it with your blessings, then we share it sometime. But the word reminded me, because the Lord's potency is in His holy name is so powerful that this word is something like, you know, when we get a metal pipe and it is corroded, the word is related to corrosion. Then the holy name, because in our bodies, as a physician, I know there's a lot of corrosion, like the arteries and the veins and bones and everything gets clogged up with dis-ease. And sometimes we take tablets which clear some of that, or we take exercise which clears some of that. But as devotees, we know though that, you know, in 100 years or 120 or 50, 150, and some people live a long time, then this body is temporary. So the soul is not temporary, the soul is moving on to the next body. But this corrosion that occurs, because we are talking here that in the end that I am so unfortunate that I commit offenses while chanting the holy name, and therefore I do not achieve attachment for chanting, and this is because of our offenses. And the biggest offense is inattention. And inattention covers all the other 10 offenses. And it's the root of the offenses. So inattention actually is very positive, because it means we are in attention. Okay, so thinking of positive thinking, we have to forget inattention, but be in attention. And so this word, I was looking for in the verse, which I hope I will find, it gets rid of this corrosion. It gets rid of the disturbance and the distractions we have in our mind. And so in the mind, to retain the focus, we were practicing so many exercises, and today also we have a class in theology, so I'm really looking forward to that and the other work we are doing together. So his potencies, the Lord's potencies in the Holy Name, are so amazing that they cleanse. We know they cleanse our hearts and our minds. And this verse is explaining how they also anti-corrode. You know, like we put this thing in our petrol carburetors in the engines of the car, which removes the corrosion. So this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is really the astra, is the tool, is the weapon for removing that corrosion and that inattention, because it removes us from tension, it removes anxiety, it removes worries, it removes depression. And we were talking, one of my biggest challenges when I work with my patients is loneliness and isolation. And even amongst our devotees, we can feel very lonely, we can feel isolated. So how to develop that shelter amongst all of us, each other, as we chant, and also with our japa when we are with the Holy Name. The mind is a very tricky thing, and immediately it can grab our attention to something else. And I was very fortunate because I was with Mother Kulangana for 6 days and 6 nights before she left her body. And I could see that the lifetime of service she had done and the lifetime of focus she was developing on chanting, because whenever she phoned me, the first thing she would always say is, "Have you chanted your 16 rounds?" You remember, she would, right? So, and she was just... So, you know, in her last days, her fingers were moving and her lips, and that's all we could see. Inside is more private then. So it's very, very powerful, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and the Lord is saying himself, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's speaking in the mood of Srimati Radharani, that these holy names, Akar is so manifested, you know, Akar means the shape. And here we have the Mossad, the Museum of Sacred Art, and we see that the shape is, even in calligraphy, how we write each letter. So the shape is in the shape of the sounds, Hare, Krishna, Rama. So those sounds, the way they're even shaped, is designed by the Lord himself. Such an artist and a musician, as well as so many other things, that imbued and in a secretive way, in this confidential Mahamantra, it's the biggest confidential thing. And it was guarded so tightly amongst the high Brahmins in India for such a long time. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he plundered the treasure house and distributed it freely to all of us. Like in English we say to every Tom, Dick and Harry. Right? And completely without any condition. So we say here that there is no hard and fast rules for remembering the Lord. And although he bestows such mercy upon fallen conditioned souls, like liberally, he teaching about the holy names. And yet, we are unfortunate that we commit these offenses and don't achieve attachment for chanting. So let us not commit these offenses. Let us pray that we help each other. Like Radhanath Maharaj tells such a beautiful story of these tall, strong trees in America. And Satyanand Maharaj was saying that the roots of the trees are very deep. Radhanath Maharaj says that these strong trees, they're so old and big, huge. I think they're called redwood trees, is that right? So, and he was talking to the warden, and he says that the roots of these trees are actually quite superficial. They're on the surface, but they've been standing for thousands of years. And little trees are growing, and new trees are growing, and they still grow amongst all these trees. And they come tall, and they come to reach the canopy to get the sunshine. And all the trees are helping these little trees by spreading their superficial roots to each other. And the trees' roots hold on to each other tight. And by holding on to the roots like this, they're not getting blown away or falling or dying. So we are learning to hold hands together like that and serve in Srila Prabhupada's movement, because it's a movement of 10,000 years. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's is 10,000 golden years in this age of Kali Yuga, because otherwise this is Iron Age, and we feel it, isn't it, living out there. Every day is like a rust, corrosion on the iron-like encounters we have every day. And I come home crying sometimes, and only my husband and children and family and our Shastra, Sadhu Sangha Nam Kirtan Bhagavad Shravan Mathura Vasi Shri Murti Shraddhana. And 30 years later, Shri Radha Gopinath and Lalita Vishakha Devi and Gornita Jagannath Vallabha Subhadra Maharani and all of you, you dragged us here somehow, and we can escape for 2 months this sentence outside and be with you. And today, by the mercy of Manohar Prabhu, and we must send our obeisances to His Holiness Satyananda Swami Maharaj and pray for his blessings that something from this verse will come true in our understanding and realization, because he was explaining yesterday, isn't it, that we have to understand and realize. So we pray. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope I kept to time. Usually I'm...
Let's go to 9.
Manohar Prabhu, I hope I did a little justice to your wonderful and kind magnanimous request this morning. Please, if you have any comments.
You have spoken about the movie. Thank you.
I will suggest I will put Rama to your name. Hare Krishna and Rama.
So mercy of my Gurudev, Srila Shri Ram Swami. He's very kind. He said, when he gave us these names, then who said so much? My husband, that you are a very fortunate man, because by calling your wife you can go back home to God. And for me, Pundarik, the name Pundarik is so special, because once we were asked to go and lead a service in the oncology department, the cancer department, where the chaplaincy, the Christian chaplaincy of the hospital was doing a service for 2 very, very special doctors who had died. And it was very tragic, because the husband doctor had murdered his wife, doctor, and then killed himself. And they were Indian, bodied. So that's why I was asked to come and contribute to this service. Because the hospital chaplain, who was Christian and in white body, had heard us speak at the Institute of Religion and Medicine. My husband and I used to do little sessions with them. So years later he remembered us and he said, please, can you come to the hospital and do this service? And I was so shocked. And I was just completely shaken up because these two doctors were real specialists in care of breast cancer. Very, very wonderful couple and very, very highly thought of. But you know, awful things happen in the world. And I was doing a very busy clinic and I thought, what can I do? And I just thought, Om Pavitra Pavitra. I felt so dirty because I'm constantly working with, and I felt so in the thick of the contamination of birth, disease, old age and death. And such horrible things we do to each other. So I was thinking, Om Pavitra Pavitra Va Sarva Vastam Gatopiva Yasmaret Pundarikaksha Savahya Antarashuti. So by just remembering the lotus-eyed Lord, Pundarikaksha, Krishna's lotus eyes, just by remembering him, we can feel that we are cleansed a little bit to deliver that kind of service. Because to go to the hospital and in this department with such a lovely Christian chaplain who was asking help from me, then I was thinking, what can I do in such a circumstance? So you know, remembrance of the holy name, and we are all blessed with the names of Krishna, Jagannath Priya. You know, when we surrender to this process of chanting and taking shelter from our spiritual master, he gives us the name, he gives us the name of the Lord, and we become servants of this name, we aspire to become servants of this name. And Gurudev gave such a nice name to my husband also, as Pundarik Das Adhikari, you know. So, and he said once, he said to him, you know, you have everything in this life because you have Guru and Krishna. So yes, you are, thank you, the holy names we have. What is your name, Prabhu? Prasanatma. Just see, Prasanatma. So tell us what this name means, everybody. Prasanna Atma, so beautiful. You're not telling us the secret. What did your Gurudev say when he gave this name? The doctor we worked with, his name was Prashant Basu from Bengal. Such a Prashant Basu, Prasanatma. Mataji. Prabhu.
Did you have samadhi experience?
I'm sorry?
Did you go to samadhi? Did you have samadhi experience? Because the lecture was so nice, so beautiful, that I wonder if you've been already beyond the real experience of daily life.
Prabhu, I'm really scared. I was so scared yesterday. Satyananda Maharaj, he said, you know, with this mantra, because we're chanting Rama, and Rama is a Bij mantra for when the Brahmins, the high Brahmins, are offering to the fire. And I was thinking, this body is going to be burned in the fire when I'm dead, you know, when the body goes. So I was saying to Maharaj, actually it's not a nice thought, I'm scared. So please don't talk to me about samadhi because I'm really scared. I don't know what's in your beautiful mind. You can share with us.
No, it's not really shit to be afraid about that. But just when you do some meditation on the holy name, the benefit is felt by your body, your soul, and when you meditate, not on mantra, but on other things, like for instance, well, not only personal meditation that keeps us on light, on some other things. You can experience a state of consciousness where experienced by mystic people. When the former ages, they were in India, in the mountains, and they were spending all their time meditating, because they wanted to go to Krishna, you know. So they meditated, and they had some experience, inner experience.
Baba, it's your blessings. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you blessed me.
It gives a consciousness to experience other things, but not this kind of experience
Okay,
that we had, you know. Strange, huh?
Thank you, Baba. Thank you. Okay, so with permission of Manohar Prabhu, we will, with your blessings, close this class. Shri Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama,